Missouri,
I'm Eastern.
Michigan's in Eastern.
Michigan is East. That is the Eastern time zone does confuse some people here in Michigan. That yeah, we're Eastern over here, even though we do look Central. I think part of the Upper Peninsula is actually in Central time zone. There's like a corner over there. So anyway, well, good afternoon. Happy Wednesday. Appreciate everybody being here. We do these classes. There's some new faces here, so we like to do these once in a while. I've always enjoyed teaching. I've always found it to be, I don't know, for whatever reason, I've always just enjoyed teaching. So whenever I get an opportunity, I do like to speak at the in-person classes in my local market. I do travel around the country sometimes and speak at other conferences. But Zooms are always good too. So we do occasionally do Zooms too. Whenever we do these, this is a safe spot. This is a broker agnostic, true broker agnostic. We're not here to sell anything. Sometimes we do have at the end we'll do just like a 2 minute promoting something, especially if a speaker's coming in. Selling if there's an author, we had an author in one time say, hey, you can get the last 5 minutes to pitch your book. Obviously, if he's going to give us an hour of his time, happy to do that. Give him a little corner there. But this is honestly this is the point of this is just to train, just to teach here. So I've known Kellie since I was thinking about this, Kellie. I
Hmm.
think 2022 in Anaheim is where we met. It's 22 or 21, and
It had to
I
be 21 because I
remember it was
feel like
during
I've known
COVID.
you way longer than that.
I know most people say that about me. But it was in Anaheim, and I remember it was at a real estate conference we met. It was during COVID, and so it
Hmm.
was either 2021 or 2022. That's right.
It
I
had to
met
be
a
21
lot of
because
my
that's
friends.
when he moved the event from Anaheim to
Yep,
Huntington
it was
Beach.
that one.
Yep.
It was that one. Yeah, it was supposed to be in Southern California. They moved it north here. So I've known Kellie for a long time, and one of the things I've always loved about Kellie, she's a super giver. I mean, she's always been there for anybody. One of the nicest people I know in the business, but also one of the smartest people. And Kellie's got a great story. So I asked Kellie, I said, I'd love to put you on stage and kind of give you an opportunity to share your story because there's a lot of people who are going through a lot of things, and this isn't an easy business. We don't have an easy lifestyle. And Kellie, I love your story, so I'm going to hand the virtual microphone off to you. And if you want to share your screen or whatever, if you got a PowerPoint, go ahead. You do have the ability to do that. And go ahead and take it away, Kellie.
Okay, thank you. I do have a PowerPoint. And Jason did not tell me that he approved it, but then he posted it all over social media. And so I was like, I guess my PowerPoint's approved. Yay! But you are a dear friend of mine, and we have collaborated and connected a lot over the years. So I can't believe, honestly, I was with our old coaching company since 2016, so I really figured I'd known you, almost since, well, in the
I
teens.
did. And now thinking about it, I did. I was there for a minute in like 2017 or 18, and I might have lasted 6, 7 months or so at last. So our paths probably crossed in, but I only remember you from the second time around when I was there that time. So, but
Well,
anyway,
thank
I'll
you for
shut up.
that.
I got to
We
stop
had a ton
talking.
of fun. And Jason is also a very brilliant person. So each of us have our strengths in different areas because he's brilliant when it comes to tech stuff. Like he's the one that created the landing page and everything for this event. All I did was bring the PowerPoint. So he's speaking for me and in front of my group next week. And he doesn't know this yet. So I'm telling him right now that I'm going to ask him to create one of those awesome little landing pages for me too. Um, so, because he can just whip those up quickly, and he's always helped me with PPC and anything tech related where I am definitely not strong at. So, I do appreciate you and our friendship tremendously. So, all right. So, I felt like when I was reading what Jason wrote on the registration link, when you really take a look at your life and it's on a piece of paper, and you just think, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that person is me, right? And so I really wanted to bring you guys a lot of value today and just have you guys walk away with something important. I want you guys to walk away feeling inspired, but I also want you guys to walk away taking notes. For anybody that can, if you're driving, obviously don't take notes, but take some notes because I really do want to pour into you and teach you guys how to build wealth in real estate. It is not just about buyers and sellers. We can do so much more with this. And like I say a lot, um, real estate has really given us a golden ticket. We literally think about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. We really have a golden ticket to wealth. It's just we have to understand how to use that golden ticket to our advantage because we're helping buyers and sellers build wealth and we forget to help ourselves build wealth. So I will start to get passionate about this. You'll see my arms start wailing. So I am going to start sharing my screen. Jason, whenever you see it, if you'll just holler and say, yeah, I see it, I would appreciate it.
Let's see it.
You got it?
There you go.
Okay.
You got it. You're
Yay.
good.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. And then if anybody wants to, Jason, if you also want to monitor the chat, because I'm not going to be able to do that if there's anything I need to address. But we will also have, as with any of my presentations, if y'all have questions in the middle, feel free to ask. Because sometimes I do get tired of hearing myself talk completely, but this is something I'm very passionate about, and I can probably talk to a wall about this and never run out of things to say. So here's me. Here's my two boys. I'm a single mom to two teenagers now. They are teenagers. But when I became a real estate agent, they were, I think, 5 and 6. So they've been with me through this wild, wild journey over the years and have been very patient with me. So I'm very, very happy of them. So where I came from, I grew up Springfield, Missouri, Nixon, Missouri, born in 1980, actually born up there in Detroit. So we moved from Detroit because my father did not want to raise us in Detroit in the 80s. Moved down here to Missouri in 1983, lived here ever since. So grew up in a very blue collar home. We did not have a lot of money. Most of our clothes were purchased from like Kmart or Montgomery Ward, if y'all remember those stores. And I just grew up watching my parents work. And that they just did that a lot. We had a lot of entrepreneurs in my family. My dad was a builder. We owned a cabinet shop, a paint shop, cell phone store, a wallpaper store, a tool store. So I just watched them grow and build their business. And I always figured that's what I was going to do with my life, but I really didn't know how I was going to do it because honestly, I was laying sod and sanding cabinets and installing insulation starting at like the age of 7. So I've done nothing but work my whole life. I spent my summers on job sites and it was hot. Back in the 80s, they did not require porta potties, and so it was just awful. As soon as I could get my first job in a nice air conditioner, a nice air conditioned building with, actual working toilets, I was out. So at 14 is when I got my first job away from my parents, and it was I never, ever, ever wanted to go back to real estate, which is really ironic now. So, fast forward to 2013, and this is where life got very, very hard. I was very, very stressed out in my old job. It was really starting to affect my health. I started breaking out in like skin rashes to try to figure out what was going on, and it turns out it was stress. So from there, I was officially became unemployed, and it was me and the boys living on welfare. And this is a time that they actually do not remember at all, which thankfully they don't. But I went to the welfare system to file the paperwork. And I think this is on a next slide. Yeah, so I was sitting there filing out the paperwork and for unemployment. And they said, hey, while you're here, you can also fill out this paperwork for Medicaid, and then you can also fill out this paperwork for SNAP, which is food stamps. And I was like, oh my gosh, how did I get here? I've done nothing but work and work and work so hard my whole life. So how did I get here? A single parent. I get no support from their father. I never have. That was in our divorce decree. It is not because he's a deadbeat dad, because he's not. He's involved in their lives. But I was getting support from anybody. And my mother, of course, was having an absolute panic attack over that. And she said, just come be my TC until you figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life. So at 33, I decided to help her. And I was kicking and screaming, by the way, but I decided to help her and become a TC for her. And as you guys know, there's a very thin line between what a TC can do. And so she said, get your real estate license. So that way we're not crossing any lines. And I said, I do not want to be I don't want my real estate license at all. I don't want it. And she kind of forced me into it. There was some pretty frank discussions, but she saw something in me that I truthfully I don't feel that I saw in myself, especially at the point that I was at then at my life. I was so low. I mean, I had almost zero self-esteem, right? How did I get here? I must be an awful parent. I can't believe I did nothing was going right. And so she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And I'll tell you guys, I know that there are times in your lives where you see something in somebody that they don't see in themselves. Reach out to them because I needed that. I didn't know that I needed that. I pushed that away as much as I could. But I am forever grateful that she saw that in me. So if you see people like that, reach out to them. They need to hear from you. Um, so I decided to get my real estate license. So in 2013, I got it. Now, again, I wasn't planning on staying there. I was just going to be her TC. But needless to say, as soon as I got my real estate license, I tell people I feel like she threw me in shark infested waters and pretty much said, all right, figure out how to swim because I went full speed ahead. And then I got completely addicted to the profession, which I'm sure is in my blood since I grew up selling or, learning how to build houses. I'm sure it's in my blood. Real estate's in my blood. But for those of you that have been in this business, anytime you realize that it does become an addiction, we want more, more, more. You get addicted to the chase. You get addicted to helping clients and sellers. In 2014, I became the top 1% of my local board. I've continued to stay there ever since. 2016 is when I started building my own team. Started with a coaching company, which is where I met Jason in 2017. And then in 2019, that's when I bought my first rental property. And that's when I really started to understand the power of real estate and the growth and the golden ticket that we have. So that is when I started truly building my wealth. But as you can see from this slide, 2013 is when I got my license. It took me 6 years before I bought my first one. So it's not like I just turned around and said, oop, we're going to do this now. I really did. I never wanted to be a landlord. I always said, because my parents own a lot of rental property, I always said, well, that's fine. When you guys pass them down to me and my brother, I'm just going to sell all of mine because I really did not want to be a landlord. I bought my first one. Guys, I was scared out of my mind. I was so nervous about buying my first one because, again, as a single parent, I did not want tenants knowing where I lived. So I didn't want anybody mailing me a check. I didn't want to have to go unclog a toilet at 2 a.m. because their dog dropped a bone down the toilet. I didn't want to do any of that stuff. So I actually, throughout the beginning of my passive income process, I hired a property manager. She still manages 7 of mine today. I have 13 rental properties today. She still manages 7 of them just because I haven't taken them from her. But it literally took me until I think last year, it might have been the year before I started managing my first one. So I was in real estate I was a landlord for 7 years before I finally decided to actually do it on my own. So it has been a slow process. So don't look at what I've built today and think, oh my God, I'm never going to get there. Because if you look at my timeline, from the start of my real estate career to today has been 13 years, and my wealth building journey with rental property has been 7 years. So it did not happen overnight. So here is who I am today, as I've kind of already talked about: realtor, team leader, investor, coach, and mentor. So with Jason, we've coached and mentored agents throughout the whole country. We continue to do so in this aspect, which I absolutely love and adore, because now we don't earn any money on this whatsoever. We are just doing this because our passion is truly to pour into other people. That is something that I know both Jason and I really, really enjoy. Been a speaker on stages all across the U.S., podcasts. I think if you Google my name on Spotify, I'm on quite a few podcasts on there. I'm in another group called Go Abundance, where I'm also a leader within that. So I think I'm just a natural born leader. And then the broker of the state of Missouri and Kansas. And I know that there are so many of my agents on this call, and I just want to say thank you guys so much for showing up here for me. I truly appreciate it. I swear we have the best state and the best support system. So a little bit of a difference between your commission check and building wealth. And so that's really where I want to focus most of this call today, because how we work now, the income trap that we are in, right? We sell a house, We put that in the bank, and that is it. We are officially unemployed until I always say after every closing, we are unemployed until our next transaction is under contract. So right now, what I see throughout the real estate space, and I've seen this for years, is that we get super excited. We spend every check because we think it's going to continue to come. And that's not what I did. So I sat down when I very first started this because as I said earlier, my family's been in the real estate space since 1983. So I've seen the ups and the downs with real estate. I didn't become licensed until 2013, but I saw my family go through the 2008 era. My father in 2008 did not build a single house. So when your dad's a builder and your mom's a real estate agent, imagine the fear and sheer terror of 2008. They were very, very smart, and they chose all of their rental income. They either put it towards paying off their rentals or they put it in a bank account waiting for the lows. So that's what you want to make sure that you do. So you don't spend every check. That is probably the most important thing. I knew that I wanted to start purchasing rental property. So I figured out how much does it cost me to exist every single month. And that is all that I say that I put in that account. Everything else went into savings because I wanted to purchase my first rental property. So that is how I did that. I live very lean. I really am not a lavish spender at all. I still drive a car that is fully paid for. I don't spend hardly any money unless I absolutely have to. Now teenagers do get expensive, by the way, but we all drive cheap cars that are fully paid off because I don't need the fancy things. So I was never one that tried to keep up with the Joneses because I've seen over the years that that's just a very expensive lifestyle. But when you're only working with buyers and sellers and you're only selling homes, you're not doing anything else, you're not making any reoccurring income. So truly, you're not really a business owner. You're self-employed and you're going to keep running the same race every single day. You're going to be running down railroad tracks just wondering when it's going to end, and it is never going to end. We're going to be 70 years old, 75 years old, still selling real estate. And if that's what you want, that's great, but that's not what I wanted. I do love real estate. I don't know that I'll ever get out of it, but I didn't want to stress about working with buyers and sellers at that age. So here's the difference between commission income and real estate wealth. And feel free, by the way, to take screenshots of any of these slides. And I do at the end I have a handout which has a little synopsis of this if anybody would like it. But with commission income, you earn it per transaction. When you stop working, it stops working. You stop earning any income. You're taxed as ordinary income. You're very lifestyle dependent upon your income, and there's a ceiling to how much money that you can earn, right? Because when you're working with a buyer and seller, there's only so much of you. And so when you are taking a break, when you are, let's say, on a vacation, then everybody, life halts. So it's really not great. What I want to teach you is to create passive income that continues to work when you're on vacation, that continues to work for you when you are sleeping, what creates what we call mailbox money. So real estate wealth is building through ownership. It works while you sleep. There's significant tax advantages, guys. I will let you know, and this is like a much bigger story, but I have not paid taxes in 4 years because of how I've built my real estate portfolio. So there's literally ways where you can decrease so much of what you pay in your taxes. One of your biggest expenses in life is taxes. So creating a tax advantage strategy is huge. It's freedom producing and it creates a legacy. You will not earn this kind of money by just having one rental. You just won't. It is what I'm doing right now. I'm not spending any of my rental money. I'm just collecting as many rentals as I can, but I'm one HVAC unit away from not making any money for the whole year. So, it's not something that you're going to get rich today. It does take time. It's just like a 401k or putting your money into stocks. It does take time. So don't think you're going to become filthy rich by doing this for 1 or 2 years, because that's not the case. But this helps you build wealth in an amazing way. And then all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I never saw this coming. This is great. So most agents, as I said earlier, we make money in real estate, but we don't make money from real estate. We help our buyers and our sellers and our investors make money without doing it for ourselves. Here is why I feel that this is the golden ticket to real estate. You already know the inventory in your market. You already know what the rents are. You know what houses should be going for. You know the numbers better than anybody else in your market because you have access to what majority of the people don't have access to, and that's the MLS. And understanding how to run comps and understanding what the rents are in your area. Even if you don't sell rentals, like here in Missouri, Southwest Missouri, we don't do rentals on the MLS, but it's very easy to go to Zillow and see what their rentals are there, what the rental numbers are. So it's very easy to do. But that knowledge is a wealth asset. So another thing that you can do is if you run across people that need their house sold, well, if you know what it costs to put that house on the market, immediately you're saving your commission dollars on that. So if I know that a house is worth about 200,000 and I know a certain percentage that I would normally charge if I were to put that house on the market, I'm already saving that percentage on commissions because I'm not going to charge commissions, right? Because all that does is put it right back in my pocket. I'm not going to charge. I'd much rather save that on the front end. So not only do we get to spot deals fast, we have literally sellers that reach out to us and say, I need to sell my home. Are you guys giving them cash offers? It doesn't even have to be cash. My first one I did not purchase with cash, by the way. It doesn't have to be cash, but are you actually looking at certain deals and thinking, maybe this is something that I can purchase for myself and start my investment portfolio? Or are you only focused on, hey, I can list this and let me get a hold of a handful of investors? Why don't you add yourself to that? You should be one of those investors. You should be the investor. I would much rather earn long-term cash than a short-term commission check. So that's how I go into every listing appointment wondering if this is a deal that I can make happen for myself. My first house, by the way, I think was like $40,000 back in 2019, and it was a bank foreclosure. And it was scary because it was built in like 1920s. And I thought, oh my gosh, the maintenance on this. But really, it was the best thing that I could have ever done. So you want to build a business that runs without you. Again, I chose to hire a property management to do all of that because I didn't know how to run a business when it came to property management and collecting rents and all of that. My property manager only charged me 8% because I'd had a relationship with her. Most of the time, they charge you 10%. Well, for me, that was worth it. My first rental was like $750, so she was only making 75 bucks a month. So I was only giving her, $75 a month to give me a peace of mind. So for me, that was absolutely worth it. Over time, I've understood how to do it a little bit better. So I've built systems, I've built a team, but again, it's taken me time to do that. So the first rental property that I bought changed the way that I saw money forever. So I now have monthly cash flow. Now, with your first one, that cash flow is going to be very minimal. And everybody knows that in 2021, I think it was, taxes went up, insurance went up. My monthly cash flow definitely went down. So, but I could also start charging more for rents. So I had to increase my rents to cover it. But I was having a nicer cash flow before that happened, that's for sure. So you have to be mindful of that and you have to be prepared for that. But my first one, I think my house payment, if I remember right, well, it's like $690. And as I told you, I think I was 750. So I think those numbers are off, but I wasn't making a lot of money. I was maybe making like $80 a month for my very first rental. It was not a lot of money. But I knew that that was going to be the beginning because what happens is that your tenant is paying you basically $80 a month to live there. Your mortgage is going down, so the tenant is paying for the mortgage to go down. As the market increases, then your net worth continues to increase. Every year you can increase the rent. Your monthly payment never changes. So if my payment, I'm just going to make these numbers easy. If my payment was 650 bucks, I was charging $750, then my payment, no matter what, was always going to be $650. Okay. But then the next year I could charge $800 and the next year I could charge $825. So it just continues. Your rent continues to increase, but your monthly payment stays the same. So for those that don't know, you can have 10 conventional loans. So I got 10 conventional loans before I started moving them to adjustable rate mortgages. So that's why from my first 10 that I have, my rates will never go up. Now, after that, now I've got to be more mindful because I have an ARM, which means a balloon payment after a certain number of years. But my first 10, I mean, I was banking all the conventional loans that I could get because I knew that for the next 30 years, my rents or my house payment was never going to change and the rent can continue to go up. That's where you really start to build wealth. This is not like get rich in a month, get rich in a year. It takes time. But that's where you really, really start to build wealth. So you've got appreciation over time. So your value of your home goes up. So I bought my first one in 2019, and you guys have seen how much the real estate market has increased over since 2020. So just the value on that home alone, I paid $40,000 for it. I had to put some money into it to get it, rent ready. I think my mortgage is 65,000, but at this point, that house is worth almost $200,000. And so that's just happened, over the last 6 years. So that's where a lot of my wealth has really happened. The tax advantages, so I can depreciate. You can do what's also called a cost segregation, which is a whole nother PowerPoint, but you get depreciation on my taxes. So if the house depreciates in value, then I might get like a $5,000 credit on my taxes. If I choose to sell it, I can do what's called a 1031 exchange. The rents go up over time. The value of the house goes up over time. My payment still stays the same. There's so much wealth in buying rental property, and it's not just the, what did I say, $80 that I'm earning per month. There's a lot more to it than that. That's why I really believe if you want to build real wealth that's sustainable, you definitely need to look at rental property. Leverage, so I control the full asset with the fraction of its value. So when I first bought my first one, I actually was going to use it as one of my kids' college funds because I've owned it for so long. And I thought, well, basically what I'm doing is I'm letting a tenant pay the mortgage payment. And then when my kids go to college, I can sell it and I can take that money and use it towards their college fund. So that was actually going to be my kids' college fund, is what my thought process was when I very first started. Every payment chips away at the debt and builds your wealth. And that's where you really, really start to see massive wealth building in real estate. I'm just going to pause. Does anybody have any questions so far from here?
Good
Okay.
stuff.
Oh, thank you. All right. So how to start building your portfolio. This is when you definitely want to take a picture of. So you're going to fix your financial foundation. So you want to know what your finances are. If you just get a paycheck and just throw it on, I don't know, attending some big fancy dinner or something, you really don't know what your finances are. So you need to get a budget. You need to figure out how much money it costs you to survive every single month. Figure out how much money on average that you make every month, because I realize a lot of us don't get paid every single month, right? We only get paid when there's a closing that happens. And then set aside, whether that be $5,000, $7,000, whatever it takes. Say, okay, so me as a single parent, I didn't have a second income. So literally I was doing this all on my own. And I think I started saying, okay, I'm going to set aside $5,000 a month. Everything over that goes into this extra account. And that's what we did. So, and that extra account is what helped me build so I could purchase my very first one. So the first thing that you got to do is get your finances in order and understand really what you are spending your money on and how much you can realistically throw into a savings account until you're ready to invest. So you want to buy your first investment property, start small. Like I said, I think my first one cost me about 40,000. I think it was like 42, but $40,000. I got a loan for 65,000 because of the loan program that I used at the time. But I knew that the rent on it was going to be in the 700s, and so it was worth it for me. So all of the extra money that I make, I reinvest it somewhere or I hold it somewhere. I do not increase my lifestyle. And I think that's where so many people really get in a world of hurt. And I'm just going to go off on a tangent really, really quickly. One of the things that really, I think, threw us into the whole NAR situation that we had a couple of years ago is because real estate agents would go online with their fancy watches and their fancy clothes and their fancy cars, and we've got Selling Sunset, and we've got all these HGTV, and everybody just thinks real estate agents don't do anything and we make an insane amount of money because that's what we're showing them. That's what we're showing the general public. So we kind of did that to ourselves because of the lifestyle creep. But they don't see the moments where you're literally making $0 for months on end. So don't lifestyle creep. That's one of the biggest things that is going to keep you from building wealth. And to be honest, guys, I don't invest a lot of money into the stock market because I don't understand the stock market. I am really good at real estate. I'm really good at understanding real estate, understanding the numbers in real estate. I have a little bit of money in the stock market, kind of just because I feel like I should, but I don't have a lot of money in there because that's not my area of expertise. Real estate is my area of expertise, and it should be yours too. Scale strategically. Once you have systems, add more doors. Let each property fund the next one. And that's literally how I've built my wealth over the years, is I've let my current properties fund my next property. And I have stuck with that $5,000 budget, which I started that in like 2015. So that's gone up just a little bit, but not too much. I still have a certain number that I give myself every single month. All of the extra money from there goes to a separate account so I can start building my wealth. So, and if you look at that very bottom line, I did this starting from zero. Again, I was living on welfare. My kids and I were eating very cheap foods and spending a lot of time doing a lot of nothing because I had $0 to do it from as an unemployed person. Unemployment doesn't pay much of anything. It barely covered my house payment. Everything else I had to earn on my own. So, and I think that's where people, they see me now and they think, oh my gosh, she's so lucky, she's so lucky. But what they don't see is the 13 years of like clawing and pulling. And, a single mom is one of the hardest working people I know because I was not going to let my kids, see that. So I wanted them to be proud of me. And I wanted to be proud of me because I'll tell you, when I was going through that, the lowest point of my life, there was nothing that I was happy about in my life. Except for being a mom, it's like the greatest feeling in the world. But besides that, I had no self-esteem. And it was very, very hard for me to get out of that. So, um, now, all of that being said, I just said I ran and I ran and I ran, and there were times where I overdid it, and there still are times where I overdo it. My old thinking, this has been this. I'm a work in progress, guys. All of us are a work in progress, but I'm still a work in progress. My old way of thinking, I need to do everything myself. Okay, I really had to shift that thinking that said I need a team that I can trust so I can lead. And this is something that I've continued to do and continued to learn how to do better and better every single year. Even now, as the broker of Missouri and Kansas, I've got some amazing area leaders, and we just brought 6 more on, and I'm so excited, or 5 more. I'm so excited because I have some amazing leaders that can help get where we want to go. It's no longer Kellie's trying to do it on her own, which as the broker, I never felt like I was trying to do it on my own, but as a team leader, I very much did. And so that is one of the biggest things, the biggest mindset shifts, because it's very overwhelming when you think, how am I going to do this on my own? How am I going to start my investment portfolio? It's scary, but you've really got to find a team of people that can help you. So my old way of thinking, rest is falling behind, and now rest is how I perform at my best. So some nights I do work way too late at night, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, but I'll take the next morning, and I will set that aside to rest, because I know that in order for me to show up for you guys, I need to be rested in order to do that. Now, old identity, my identity is my production numbers. And I'm sure that at least half of the people on this call right now feel that way as well. And we do that to ourselves because everybody's talking about the production numbers, the production numbers. It's all over social media. And as a team leader, I'll say there's a lot of team leaders that are selling 600 or 700 houses a year, but they are not making anything. And then there's a lot of solo agents that are selling 15, 20 houses a year that are absolutely killing it, and they're crushing it, and they're making more than team leaders. So it's not just about the production numbers. It's about who you are becoming. Am I becoming a better version of myself every day? That's really what you want to ask. Now, the old way of thinking, I cannot afford to invest, but I will tell you, and I'm going to scream this to the rooftops, you cannot afford not to start investing. And again, I can go on like that forever. My old way of thinking, and this was very much how I used to feel, I need approval to feel successful. Over the years, I've realized that it's on me, and my vision is my compass, not other people's opinions. Nobody else is paying my bills for me. So people can think what they want. That's totally fine. People can love me. People can hate me. And I've had both. But their opinions don't matter to me. The only people that I need to worry about are me and my kids, and making sure that we have a roof over our head, food in our bellies, and that we're spending time together. So back to building a team that multiplies with you. I definitely know where my weaknesses are. So for me, going back to when I first hired a property manager, I knew where my weaknesses were, and I needed to go out and find a property manager that I knew, like, and trusted. Because finding the right property manager is probably one of the biggest things that you need to do if you choose to hire a property manager. Again, I didn't know what I was doing. All right. So I just said, well, in order for me to learn how to do this, I need to watch people do it. So for me, hiring a property manager was almost like getting a college degree because I was able to just watch what she did, watch how she spoke to the tenants and how she paid everybody and got paid and all of that stuff. So I just watched her. So I was paying basically to learn from her, and it was so worth it for me. Culture is everything. So over 50% of my business is repeat and referral, and that also is when it comes to investment property. So the reason that this is so important is because if I've purchased homes, because people know that I purchase homes, and they'll reach out to me and say, my mom passed away, and she has this house and it's in huge disarray, and I was just wondering if you would just come buy it, because we don't even want to put it on the market. They didn't want to fix it up. There was so much emotional attachment to that home that they just couldn't do it. So that is why having a good culture and a good relationships with your buyers and sellers is so important, because they're going to be the ones that are going to bring you the most deals. I've bought a lot of houses from past clients, and unfortunately, that go through a divorce. And they just need out of it. I've been named in a few divorce degrees where, they say Kellie Revoir is going to be purchasing the home at such and such. So I'm named on there. But people know that I buy houses. So that's why you have to let people know that you're interested in purchasing homes. And you don't have to do that, if that's scary to throw that on social media the first time, then wait until you buy one or two and then start letting people know that you do buy houses, because it's a great way. If they don't want my price, that's fine. I'll stick it on the market. So it is a good way to get some good listings as well. I do give my team agents investment opportunities. I've taught them how to do this over the years. If they bring good opportunities to me, we find a way to work it out. So maybe what we've done in the past is bought the house, and then my agents fix it up, and then they put it on the market and they make the money on it. And so basically, it's like almost like a hard money loan that we've done. And so there are ways definitely that you can help other people do this. I don't recommend doing that right up front, but that is something long term that you can also think about as you're building your wealth, is if you want to be a hard money lender and help other people do this. So there's, again, golden ticket, tons of way to make money on this. So accountability without micromanaging. I'm not a good micromanager. I actually suck at micromanaging because, in my opinion, if I ask you to do something, I just have the expectation that it's done. But that's surrounding people with the right team. And that's key to being able to be successful doing this. I do have high expectations. I trust every single one of the people in my corner that I've had over the years to do it. That equals high performance. I took a Strength Finders class years ago called Partner for Performance, and one of the things that they stressed on was partnering for performance, to make sure that my weaknesses, I find other people that can fill my weaknesses. Because if I found three Kellys, we're all like running the same way and nobody's covering for our weaknesses. So it's really, really important to do that. So your next move, stop waiting for perfect conditions. Decide now. The conditions get better when you move. Ready, fire, aim. Is that right? Yeah, ready, fire, aim. I know that's how Jason runs too. So we don't try to get things perfect. We just fire and then aim. I've seen that a lot. You will never be perfect. You'll never get the most perfect opportunity. But I want you guys to stop playing small. My favorite quote's by Marianne Williamson. That's the first thing she says on there is, you got to stop playing small. We're all big, okay? When you play small, you're actually doing a disservice to everybody around you. Our biggest weakness is when we try to play small. I think everybody needs to play big at what they're big at, so that you give other people the permission to go in and play big as well. So stop waiting until you're ready, because you will never feel ready. Like I said, I was absolutely terrified the very first rental that I ever bought, the second rental I bought, the third rental I bought. I was so nervous because I thought, oh my God, I'm getting in over my head. What single mom does this? And there's so many limiting beliefs I've gave myself over the years. I'm a single mom. I have no second income. I have nobody to provide for me. What happens if I fail? Then it just got to the point where I said, I'm not going to fail. I'm going to do this. And I've told myself I'm a big manifester. I just get up and I'm like, nothing or everything I do turns to gold. I'm a powerful and manifester and I just make money. It's always going to make money because I'm always going to make money. And that's what I started telling myself in my head instead of like, what single mom does this? What if I fail? What are we going to do? I'm the only one providing for my kids. Because that's what I told myself. So you gotta stop. You'll never feel ready. You really do just have to take the first step. Again, comparing my chapter 20 to your chapter 1, guys, that's just going to hurt you. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to look at somebody online and think, oh, I'll never get there, because the only way that you're ever even going to possibly get there is to take the first step. Eat that frog, as Brian Tracy says. So a lot of people don't know what it cost me to get to where I am today. Okay. And I have seen plenty of people run past me over the years. Plenty of people run past me over the years. And that's okay. We all run at our own pace. So it's like the tortoise and the hare. I'm definitely not a hare. I am a tortoise. But you know what? I will outrun anybody because they're probably going to burn out and stop. And I'll just keep on walking, one foot in front of the other. Letting the fear of judgment stop you. So that is definitely something that all of us struggle with. And then making your circumstances an excuse, which I did, right? I was on welfare with 2 kids. I made my circumstances a lot of my excuses. But I surrounded myself with the best people that I knew that supported me. And that was also when I was with the coaching company where I met Jason, because I had so many friends that believed in me, that saw things in me that I didn't see. And that's who you need to surround yourself with, are the people that truly believe in you. I think that's key. That's one of the biggest things, because they can push you out of your comfort zone. So your action plan that I want you guys to start this week. Okay. I want you to review your last 3 commission checks and how much of that did you save? Be honest. If you're not honest, you're the only one hurting yourself. Identify 1 potential investment property. And if you need help doing this, at the very end, I'll give you guys my contact information and I can help you figure out what that looks like. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just identify it and run the numbers. Okay. You're going to want to underwrite it. I can help you do that. Set a 90-day income and investment goal. If 90 days sounds too fast, that's fine. Set a 6-month income and investment goal. You just have to create a goal for you. Not just a production goal, but an ownership goal. Back in the early 80s, when my parents, they knew, again, we were so incredibly poor growing up. They found one of the wealthiest men in Springfield. His name was Ralph Manley. And they went up to Ralph Manley and they said, hey, what does it take to build wealth? And Ralph told them, buy 1 rental house a year, just 1. So that's what they did for years. And then there were times where they could buy 0 because the housing market was down, or they could buy 2 or 3, but they averaged 1 a year. So it's not like, when you think about it like that, it's not like, oh my God, I have to go out and buy 10 this year. Just buy 1. That's all you need to buy 1. And that's how I started. Some years I've bought 2, some years I bought none, but I've averaged 1 a year. I have 13 now, and I started 7 years ago. So I guess I'm averaging almost 2 a year, but it's not like it's a massive amount. I didn't accumulate these all overnight. So just think of buying 1 rental property a year. Invest in your personal development. That's huge. I'm a huge reader. So if anybody ever needs book ideas on whatever it is that you're struggling with or you want to learn more, just ask me, because my brother's building me a house because we're builders. So I'm building a house and I'm making my brother put a library in it. So, which is not going to be huge. It's going to be like a little hallway, but I love reading so much. So you've got to read. Find a coach, join a mastermind. So thank you to everybody for joining on here, because these are the types of things that you learn how to be better. And then have an honest conversation with your team. Are you guys truly building something together, or are you just grinding side by side? You want to make sure you're in alignment together. You want to make sure you're collaborating together to make everybody, the collective, better. That's really very important, because if there's one person that's a cog in the wheel that's pulling you back, that's going to keep you from your success. And you definitely don't want that. So I truly believe we were all made for more. I truly believe that when we show up to the best of our ability for each other, that we are helping each other and growing. So I really don't share my story for applause. Jason and I did talk about the title that says From Welfare to Millionaire. And guys, I'll be 100% honest. When I saw that all over social media, I thought, oh my God, I don't know that I want everybody knowing all of my business, and there were so many parts of me that got small. And even today I get small. I'm very, very proud of what I've accomplished over the years, but I also think, geez, do people think I'm bragging? I don't want people to think I'm bragging. I hope I bring enough value that they see that I'm not sitting here trying to toot my own horn. What I really want to do is help others and bring others up and show them that it is possible. It really is possible. So I don't do this for applause. I do this because I want to inspire and pour into every single person on this call. I know there's somebody in here that needs to hear this. So, and just know your past does not disqualify you, your circumstances don't define you, and that you don't have to figure this out alone. So I want you guys to stay connected with me. There's all of my contact information. So go find me, send me any messages that you want. Honestly, I think there's one more slide. Yeah. So then it's just now like Q&A. So there we have it. I am going to stop my screen share. So now it is open to questions.
What? Can you help me with this? I can't put something in there. How do you get this paper off?
I don't think Laura has a question.
I don't think Laura has. Kellie, I got a question. So you did this in 2013 when you started here. How many units did you close your first year? Do you remember?
My very first year? No, I really don't remember. Because I got licensed in August of 2013, so I mean, really my
So
first year was
2014.
2014. So
Yeah.
I think it had to have been in the 20s, but honestly, I don't remember. I should look that up though. That'd be very interesting.
We all had to start somewhere, though, right?
We did, yeah. I remember being so scared though, the first few times that I was out with buyers and sellers. I'm like, my mom had me go sit at a closing one time. I'm like, what do you do? She's like, you just sit there. I'm like, but what am I supposed to do? She's like, you just sit there. I mean, I showed up, I was sweating. I had no clue what I was doing. And then I realized you really do just sit there. That's all you do. So, but I'm here, guys.
Okay.
I'm here to answer any questions.
Hey, Kellie, James Getska.
Hi, James.
Good to see you again.
You too.
I have a question on your rentals. You started out with just kind of the flat fee, 10%, which is fairly standard. And then you said you've morphed into maybe more of a different setup with your property manager. What does that look like now for you now that you have some established units?
So she still manages 7 of mine, and then I manage all of the others. So she now only charges me the 8%. I just let her do it. The only reason why is because I haven't taken the time to go, hey, the next time this person's out, I want it back, because I'm so busy doing other things, and it doesn't really, I mean, it's something that's on my radar that I need to do. I just haven't yet. So I will eventually take all of them back. But I just haven't yet. So when I had already developed a relationship with her just in the real estate space, because she was actually in my office. And so I said, Sarah, her name's Sarah. I said, I got no clue what I'm doing. Do you want to manage this for me? She's like, yeah, sure. I'll only charge you 8%. I said, okay. So does
So
that
you just
answer
have your own
question?
handyman, clean out people,
Oh,
electrician, plumber
I do now, yeah.
that you
Yeah,
use
so
in
if
real
I have a
estate business?
tenant, we use door loop now, which I didn't used to, but when I knew I wanted to start managing them on my own, I use door loop. And then if people go on there and request something, like I had a garage door issue, I just put my tenant and my garage door guy on a text together so that they could figure it all out, because I didn't want to say, Chuck, when can you be there? Brittany, he can be here. Does this work for you? And go back to Chuck and do all that. I was just like, that's fine. I put all of them on a group text and let them figure out the best way to do it. Now,
So
if the
Door Loop's
garage door,
a software program for landlords?
yeah, yep,
Okay.
yep. It costs me like $100 a month, so you want to make sure that you have enough. My mom and dad own like 50 rental units, and when they started, it was like Venmo and PayPal. Some people pay cash, some people pay check. So it's really whatever works. There's a lot when you're first getting started, you could just do Venmo or PayPal.
Okay.
So you don't have, I didn't get into door loop until I started getting a significant amount.
That makes sense. Take you out of the middle.
Yeah. Yeah. But until then, very easy.
Wonderful. Thanks for the info.
Yeah. Good question. You know how to get a hold of me. So if you ever need
Oh,
me.
yes. Will do.
Hi,
Kellie,
Kelly.
I had a question. I was just going to ask what your process was for screening like potential tenants.
Oh, I make all of them go to Zillow. So I list all of my rentals on Zillow. Zillow actually has a really, really good background check, and they don't charge me anything. So they charge the tenant, the prospective tenant, I think it's like $35, but from that one $35 fee, I think it lasts them 30 days or 90 days or something like that. So I make everybody go to Zillow, and then I just do the background check from there, which is actually cheaper. Door Loop, my software system does have a background check, but it's more expensive and that costs me money. Oh wait, no, it doesn't. It costs the tenants money, but I don't want them. Most people go, at least in my area, most people find rentals on Zillow. So I didn't want to charge a prospective tenant $40 or $50 to do my background check when they've probably already paid for it on Zillow. So I try to be mindful of that. So that's what I do. And Zillow's amazing. I mean, if they do a background check, a credit check, they look at their history to see if they've been kicked out anywhere. They make sure that they're employed. They ask them to upload all of their income docs. Pulls their credit score, everything. Good question.
That's a
Hi,
good question.
Carrie.
Hi,
Carrie.
Kelly. Hi, how are you?
Good.
I
How
have
are
a
you?
question. I'm good. Nice to see you again. I had five rental properties. I just sold one of them in contract for another one, so I'm doing a 1031. I loved your webinar. This has been great. My biggest fear is because I've seen so many of my investors. I only buy condos, and I know I'm coming from a small mind by doing that. Like I'm very scared at buying houses because I've seen so many of my investors' houses get destroyed by tenants. So how did you overcome that mindset?
Because well, the background check helps a lot with that.
Yeah,
I have
I
had
do that with my investors because when I first came into real estate, I worked with investors for like the first 3 years, and I saw so much that I just feel in a condo, I'm kind of protected because the management company and I make friends with the people in the same building and I make friends with the super, and so I feel like I have a little bit of you know, a better, position that if something's going wrong in the unit that they're going to let me know. But like I'm in the suburbs, so people could be in the house and they could be destroying the house and the neighbor doesn't even know.
Yeah, so Gary, to be honest, I was nervous about that too. My only way to get over it was that I kept complaining to my parents about it. And I just watched them. And so they said, "Oh my God, that rarely ever happens. Oh, you only hear about the bad stuff online." And they kind of pushed me to get past that. That's the
Okay.
only thing. I've been fortunate too. I've not had anybody destroy a property. So, in the years that I've been doing this, I haven't had it happen yet.
Okay.
So.
All right.
But not to
Yeah.
say that it won't. I'm sure it will. As I'm amassing all of this, I'm sure that it will, but I've been very fortunate that it hasn't. And the only
Yeah,
time I've ever had a tenant that really hasn't paid either was when COVID hit. I had one nurse that stopped paying me. She got about 3 months behind, and then we kicked her out. That's the only time I've never had somebody that hasn't paid me either. So
See, I'm in New York. I'm in New York, so it takes like 6 months to kick anybody out. Yeah,
yes.
so that's why. All right. I just have to. I guess I'll have to get over that because yeah, I'm not seeing a lot of good opportunities in the condos anymore because of the HOA fees going up. But I I'm gonna work on that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome. Thank
Scott,
you.
Scott has his hand up, then we're going to go to Kristen.
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to ask you when you first got started, how'd you generate clients? Just like past construction history, or were you out there,
Um,
generating leads at the welfare office? Or I mean, how were you pull
it's really not my target market.
when you first get started? I mean, you sound like you went from transaction coordinator into, doing the real estate. How did you
Yeah.
get your wheels rolling, basically?
So that's a really good question. Actually started my career, and this might irritate some people, and I'm sorry, but I was buying Zillow leads before buying Zillow leads was the cool thing to do. And Tiger Leads, I don't know if anybody remembers Tiger Leads way back in the day. Howard Tager used to own Tiger Leads. So I bought Tiger Leads, and then I mean I just hounded them to death. And if they wanted to see a house at 9 o'clock at night on a Thursday, I was showing them houses at 9 o'clock at night on Thursday. I mean, I worked like 9 weeks without a single day off, which is crazy. Don't do that. I don't recommend that. And there's a whole nother presentation I have on how not to do that. But yeah, that's how I did it. I mean, I just ran and ran and ran as fast and as hard as I could. And I didn't let anybody die until they told me to F off. I was on them. So, I mean, I called and called and called and called. And social media. I also, moved here in 1983, so a lot of people already knew who I was. So I started throwing it all over social media as well, what I was doing. But I never said, if you know of somebody wanting to buy or sell a house, I would do things like I had this guy drive me around in a Porsche one time, one of my clients, and it was an old Porsche, and I'm not a car person, but people thought it was super cool. So I took a picture and I said, hey, what a cool day I got to spend riding around showing this dude houses and these cars. So I wasn't like slimy salesman. I was more like, this is how awesome it is to be a real estate agent. So a little bit of a different approach where people knew that I was approachable that way. So good question.
Kristen, you had a question. Kristen Kish.
Yeah, I was just going to respond to, what was her name? Carrie. I used to work with some investors, and that was his biggest concern was, are they going to destroy the house? So he actually had it wrote up however he had it written up. I cannot remember, with his property management company that they would, the first year they only had like a 1 year lease, to see if they were a good match. But if they wanted to sign another lease, that they had to do a walkthrough of the house. So
That's good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Like that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I threw my contact info in the chat if anybody
Yeah,
missed
Kelly's
it.
information's over there, and she's firsthand. She's also very lot on Instagram. It's a great way to communicate with her on either way here. So good. Does anybody else have any other questions here? So
Thank you
cool.
guys for
Two
joining
things I
us.
want to. Yeah, I want to cover two things real quick. I'm putting another link this Friday at 1 o'clock. We are doing an Epic Explain also on Zoom. If you're just curious, I don't want, it's not a sale, it's a presentation, but it's not a sales pitch. Sometimes people want to know, hey, what's going on with the other brokerages? It's just going to be on Zoom, just like this. It's going to go about an hour long, if not maybe less. I'm going to go over the highlights of Epic. That link's in the chat. I'm going to email that to you guys. And I got one more thing here I want to share. Let me see if I can get this to work because I'm now having technical problems. So, Kelly, I found this.
Oh gosh. Oh good God. What is it? This is gonna be so embarrassing.
Can you see the screen?
No. Oh, there it is. Jeez.
This was the dinner
I threw it again.
that I'll tell you firsthand. This dinner actually changed my life. There's a lot of stories. A movie that could be right here, but this was the dinner that I believe Kelly and I met actually, and
Yeah,
I think
it
I
is.
took that selfie. That's what I look like without a beard. 2021, I guess. And there's just a lot of friends in this picture here. So Kelly didn't know I was going to do that, but I want to share this. Kelly, you have not aged, by the way. I think you're the
Oh,
Shauna
thank
hasn't
you.
aged either. But yeah, so you have not aged one bit since then. But I found that picture actually this week, and said I'm going to pull this out and show this to Kelly. But I remember that dinner quite well, and my life changed at that dinner. A funny story. This in California, and the very next day they had to close that restaurant down due to COVID.
Yeah.
And so,
Yep.
but yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to share that, and I thought I'd embarrass Kelly a little bit about that here. So cool, awesome, so good. Hey guys, if you guys have any follow-up questions, reach out to Kelly, reach out to me, reach out to anybody here. This has been awesome, Kelly. This is not an easy story to tell. I mean, I appreciate your vulnerability. I mean, just it's about as humble as you can to talk about. It's easy to talk about the wins, but to talk about life sucking, that takes a different muscle, takes a different skill set, takes a humble person. So I super appreciate that. I appreciate everybody being here. And reach out to Kelly if anybody has any other questions about investment properties or just want to talk. So Kelly's great at that. So good.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna end this now. Thank you very much for coming, everybody, and go out and do it. Have a great one, team.
Thanks, Kelly.
Bye. Thanks, guys.